Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. Well, my friend who threw the party at her house, as you can see, she was done tuckered out by the end of the party, but it looks like she had a fabulous time. All right, we've got a bunch to cover, as usual. Let's jump in and get there, shall we? Let's go. I just want to give a shout out to Janie here, who has decided after watching me that she's going to let her natural hair go and she's going to stop trying to slather on makeup in the Texas heat. Janie, you're going to love it. It is so freeing not to worry about your hair color anymore. I'm telling you, you don't have to worry about dyeing or touch-ups. You just let it go. You're going to love it. All right, let's now move on. We're starting off with the fabulous Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog, where she points out that she's one step closer to royalty. Now, you guys had a bunch of comments about Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog. We're going to start with Kimberly, who said that was a dig at another certain gold digger. And Margaret Hampson pointed out the obvious, I didn't catch it, but you did. Way to go. Moving on. Next up, interesting things going on at the Ivy. Princess Beatrice was there during the Oscars Book Prize winner announcement today. And the book is called The Boy with Flowers in His Hair. And Princess Beatrice posed with the book. She posed with the author, Jarvis. She looked very nice. I think it was an excellent day. And she was caught on camera leaving with a big smile on her face and probably a balloon for her +1 son, or maybe her daughter. All right, moving on. Charles and Camilla released their official coronation photographs, portraits. They shared, quote, their sincere and heartfelt thanks in a message that was released by Buckingham Palace on Monday when the coronation long weekend came to an end. He said that the two of them wanted to pay tribute to everybody who helped make all the events happy, safe, and enjoyable as possible. Love it. And he said, quote, to those who joined, whether at home, street parties, lunches, or by volunteering, we thank you, each and every one. That to know we have your support and encouragement and to witness your kind expressed in many different ways has been the greatest possible coronation gift. Love it. Charles, you are more than welcome. And it was a privilege to have a party here in the United States in your honor. All right, moving on. All right, this was an interesting bit of drama. Apparently, during the coronation rehearsals, each of the journalists were given assigned posts where they're supposed to stay to, try to film, whatever it is they're doing. Anyway, this journalist left his post and tried to film the rehearsal. The king spotted it and he said, he's not filming at my coronation. Apparently, he was covertly attempting to film when he shouldn't have been. This guy is apparently a veteran. He was escorted out of Westminster Abbey by security. His accreditation was torn up by the BBC boss on the steps of the Abbey, and he was suspended immediately and banned from working over the coronation weekend for the BBC. The man's quote-unquote pattern of behavior apparently had alarmed a lot of people, and they thought he was trying to shoot unauthorized footage of Charles on his phone. And BBC was extremely upset over what this man did. Well, I'm glad they caught him, and I'm glad they threw him out. Moving on. Well, I found this article very interesting, and I'll explain why in about 10 seconds. It came out saying that Charles and Camilla were going to go to Sandringham to recover from the whole coronation weekend. There was so much going on. You saw it. Meetings, visits, dignitaries, coronation, the big lunch out, and they just wanted a few days of rest and respite before they went back to work and start dealing with the red boxes on a daily basis. But this is why I'm surprised. So the host of the American Idol show, Ryan Seacrest was talking with Katy Perry and Lionel Richie and asking how the festivities in the UK were going. And Lionel was going, oh, it was such a party. It was unbelievable. And Katy Perry goes, yeah, it was incredible. And we're at Windsor Castle. And then all of a sudden he says, we're trying to figure out what we can do to bring something different to the show. So I have a surprise. And then all of a sudden, here comes King Charles and Queen Camilla. People were cheering in the United States, and the king goes, well, I just wanted to know how long you're going to be using this room for. I just want to check. And, Lionel says, oh, we have to give up the room. It was cute. It was cute. All right, moving on. And far from taking respite, King Charles went to Whittle Laboratory, which is located in Cambridge. He broke ground on the new laboratory. He met with the academics. He met the aviation leaders. He toured the facility. Now, very interesting. This lab just received the funding. They're going to try to develop a 58 million pound lab that's going to speed up the development of net zero aviation. Can you imagine flying and not leaving a carbon footprint? Interesting. Then he went to do the ceremonial breaking of the ground, and he was, doing jokes because there was some mud, and he goes, don't tell me that it's already been done. I was looking forward to gardening. And then he did the spade. He, did the thing that he does, and then he unveiled the plaque. Now, as he's walking to the stage, there was a woman whose shoe had come off. Her heel got stuck in the earth, and he's so gallant, he stopped to help her. Then he went to go and give his speech. And I love the fact that this laboratory is designed to be the leading global center for disruptive innovation in net zero aviation and energy. And I can totally see why he's behind this one. Way to go. Moving on. We know that there was another garden party today. Princess Catherine and Prince William attended, as well as Duchess Sophie and Duke Edward. Catherine's outfit, I knew we had seen it before. It is a rewear, but it still fits her to a T. It's absolutely gorgeous. Thank you to Remoulade Sauce for this information above. I don't know how they find all that information, but they must have one heck of a file system. They can just, woo, yeah, she wore that here. She wore that there. Anyway, she looked gorgeous. She walked around. She talked to everybody. You know how this works at these kinds of parties. This is what they do. I don't have a problem with what she wore. It was a rewar from Ascot in 2019. And everything fits exactly as it did. Does anybody else find that, the same? Now, let's talk about Sophie. Sophie wore a blue lace dress. I did not like this dress. You guys know how much I love Sophie. But I love the hat. But I did not like the dress. It was very frumpy and it seemed older. You know what I'm saying? That's like a dress that was due for somebody much older than her. Just my opinion. All right, moving on. Oh, here we go. Prince Harry's ghostwriter is coming out, and he said he's gotten into fights with Prince Harry and they were yelling at each other. And all of this was about a passage in the book of Harry going through quote unquote grueling military exercises where he was captured by pretend terrorists, okay? And the idea behind this was to see if Harry could survive this scenario if it actually happened in real life. But one of the fake captives took a dig at Princess Diana. Yes. And he wanted to end the scene with the comeback he gave the soldier. But the writer goes, this was, quote, unnecessary and inane. And Harry was just like, Harry is calling this guy, okay, at 2:00 in the morning. And the guy's like, dude, we've been over this. Harry just couldn't leave it alone. He couldn't let the guy do his job, if you can imagine that one. Now, interestingly enough, Meghan was so kind to him while he was living in their guest house. She and Archie would stop by on their afternoon walks, and she would bring him sweets and candies and all. Yeah, I bet she was trying to keep him happy. I mean, are you really? And I am sure on the spur of the moment, never planned walk-bys and gifts, she had her own suggestions about what should be in the book. Moving on. Now, Omid Scobie is back out again. Now, remember, first we heard that she wasn't coming because it was Archie's birthday. Then we heard a few weeks later she wasn't coming because she wrote a letter to Charles about their unconscious bias and she didn't like the response she got. Then she wasn't coming because she didn't want to take any of the attention away from King Charles. Now Omid Scobie is saying she didn't go because she knew she wouldn't get a warm welcome and she really wasn't wanted there. Duh. Well, this article came out and I agree. You know, William had a great role. It solidified his relationship with his father. There was so much of a public display of support. And when the king looked at William after he, vowed to him and said, "Thank you, William," after William kissed his cheek, I mean, it was touching. People were tearing up. And then they're going, well, what was Harry's contribution? He mumbled the oath when the congregation was invited to say it. But the truth is, he spent the majority of his time whining to Jack Brooksbank about the way he was being treated. I mean, really. It was very interesting. When you sit back and you think about how Harry and Meghan have worked so hard to try to damage the royal family, to try to damage the monarchy, to try to shame and embarrass them. And basically, except for Eugenie and Beatrice and their husbands, and I think they had to communicate with him because they walked in with him, nobody really wanted anything to do with him. But what exactly was he expecting for his massive amount of disloyalty? Did he really expect the family to hug him and kiss him and love him and, oh, thank you for writing the spare. We had no idea how much you were hurting. And really? He got, as this article points out, exactly what he deserved. He got stuck behind a large red feather plume on Anne's hat, just like Meghan got stuck behind that candle at the Queen's funeral. And those things are not accidental, I tell ya. It was pretty obvious that Harry did want to talk to people. As he was walking in, he was looking at people, saying hello to them, obviously not reading the room, because the people he was saying hello to and smiling at were not smiling back and were not talking to him. He was getting the cold shoulder from everybody. A lot of people couldn't even figure out why he even bothered to show up. I mean, we know why he bothered to show up, right? This is all very self-serving PR nonsense. I agree with this Twitter user. Harry is proof that what you focus on is what you get. He's become completely irrelevant. He could have had a huge role in the Commonwealth. He could have had a huge role with the ex-service people. He could have had the biggest platform, and he blew it. We've seen their self-serving PR stuff. This is exactly what Meghan did after the coronation. She just wanted to put herself out there. She has no sense of what is right and what is polite and what is appropriate. I think the whole world knows that now. And so people are wondering, why did Prince Harry bother to come at all? He really has become his own worst nightmare. He's completely irrelevant. And the truth is, nobody really cared whether he was there or not. They really didn't. The only person who really wanted him there was King Charles. And he knows that the rest of the family doesn't like him because of the things that he's done. There you go. Now, Omid Scobie has come out again. And what he's claiming is that George, Charlotte, and Louis were the blame for Catherine and William being late to the service. Okay, first of all, George was there earlier because he was a page carrying the cape, so he wasn't even with them, number one. But number two, it's already been confirmed by Buckingham Palace, William and Catherine weren't late. The king and the queen got there early. I mean, it was ridiculous. So this man who has no insider information, who has no access to the children, who doesn't know anything, is blaming the way things went on 3 young people. Right. Now, when Charles and Camilla arrived at the West Gate, The fanfare was sounded and everybody was supposed to stand up. Well, while they were waiting for the rest of the family to arrive, there was supposedly a lip reader who claims that they saw King Charles say, quote, "We can never be on time," as he sat in the Diamond Jubilee State Coach with Queen Camilla. And then, of course, William and Catherine showed up and they ended up being in the procession. But again, according to the order of service and the way everything went, Catherine and William were not late. Charles and Camilla got there early. What does this man know? He's not even really a royal reporter. He calls himself that, but that doesn't make it true. You know what I mean? Now, right on time, right after Omid, here comes Shouty Shola. She apparently put up a tweet and claimed that there was racist statues present in the picture. It was the picture of Camilla. Look over her left shoulder. And there they are. But what it is, it's called the Weeping Women Candelabra. Those are historic ornaments in the palace. So she retracted her statement and said, "I stand corrected if these are not blackamoor statues, but of weeping women. But bottom line, if there are blackamoor items or anything of historical racist depiction, it should be removed and placed in a museum so history doesn't repeat itself." Now, let's not forget that in 2017, Princess Michael of Kent went to some reception where Meghan Markle was, and she wore a blackamoor brooch. But did anybody really look at that brooch? Because it was the bust of an African person wearing a crown and jewels like royalty. Maybe I'm missing something. That woman needs to do something about her Medusa hair. All right, moving on. Prince Harry, apparently when he got in the car and he headed off to Heathrow Airport to fly home, apparently he made a pit stop at Buckingham Palace. Very interesting because none of his family was there. So you have to wonder, why was he at Buckingham Palace? Who was watching him? What did he stop in for? Maybe that's why he had that cat that ate the canary grin at the airport. Very interesting. All right, just a few more small items. This was put up on Twitter. Basically, when William becomes head of the Church of England, he's going to have to forgive Harry. Head of the church and all. I like the response from Yankee Wally supporter. Absolutely. After Harry apologizes for trashing William, his wife, his children, and his family. All right, moving on. A blind item came out that basically said that Meghan is already starting to record the Archetypes podcast for Mother's Day, and she's complaining about how hard her life is as a mom, if you can imagine this one, and she's comparing herself to single mothers. Now, this is a woman with nannies and cooks and chauffeurs and security and housekeepers and lawn and garden people. She wants you to believe she has it as hard as single working mothers. She is insane. And finally, I wanted to bring up what happened with Piers Morgan. Of course, Omid Scobie came out, Shouty Shola came out, and here comes Tessa Dunlap. The one who met her husband when he was 12 years old. And she's basically saying, again, balcony was too white. So Piers Morgan looks at her and goes, "How many people of color were in your wedding photos?" And Tessa goes, "None." And Piers goes, "It's not illegal. You're allowed to be white." Spot on. So I just want to point one thing out really quickly. Do you remember when these pictures came out of the balcony and the lady from Bridgerton and Shouty Shola and a bunch of other people said, "Oh, it's such a white balcony"? Well, this Twitter user put this up, and that really got me thinking. Are they going to call him now or her a racist for pointing this out? It's the exact same thing, people. All right, I promised you guys I would keep you up on my numbers. I can't give you exact at this point, but I'll tell you what. I'm at 57,500 range. That's where I was last week. That's where I was the week before and the week before that. So once again, numbers aren't moving. All right, you guys, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you've already hit the button, double check, make sure you're still subscribed. Don't forget to leave those comments below. Don't forget to go into the description box and get the links to my Twitter, my Getter, my Rumble, my email, my physical address in the event you want to send something. For those of you who've donated money through the coffee fund and through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.